routines in general are going to alleviate so much stress in your life because you know how certain areas of your life are going to go and in which ways you're going to be moving throughout your day.
Welcome back to Happiness in Progress. I'm your host, Danielle Craig. I'm an Emmy Award-winning journalist, a mom, wife, and you know what I like to say, just a person looking for more joy in the everyday. This podcast is brought to you by the Mail Tribune. You can find more podcasts at mailtribune.com. Go check out the Hip Habits workbook if you haven't already. It is 6 months of weekly habits that you can bring into your life. Everything from a meditation practice to physical exercise. I think you're really going to enjoy it. You can find it on my website. The link is in show notes. Today, you are meeting Ashley Brown. She is the creator and owner of Routine and Things. She's also the host of the Routine and Things podcast. You can guess we're talking about routines today. She talked about in this episode how to create a routine, how she realized she needed one, what was happening in her life that felt chaotic, that she needed to change things a little bit by adding in routines. And one of my favorite things we talk about is how to be a good steward of your time and what a time study looks like, how you can do that for yourself, that and a whole lot more in this episode. So let's get to it. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, Danielle, for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So you are the routine queen. Tell me a little bit about how you came to this place, how you got that routine crown.
Right. I can ask myself the same question. It came out of nowhere. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So essentially it started when I became a stay-at-home mom. I was a stay-at-home mom for 2+ years. I now work full-time. I'm a nurse educator and I also own a business. But it was during that bout of time that I was a stay-at-home mom. I remember that I got the opportunity to come home to be with my daughter. I have 2 daughters, ages 1 and 3, but I only had 1 daughter at the time. And I had no clue what being a stay-at-home mom was about. I didn't know any stay-at-home moms. I was raised by a single mom. So I'm like, stay-at-home mom, huh? What? Who able to do that? So when I got the opportunity, I jumped on it, was super excited about it. So excited to be with my baby girl. But some months after, it was a hot mess. Like, I am usually, like, I would say I'm a recovering, like, perfectionist, overachiever type. And so for me, I was so taken back by the fact that I was not able to keep up with my home, that I was feeling like a chicken with my head cut off. My daughter was sitting in front of the TV a lot. And I feel like it was a mixture of a lot of things that led me down this really, I felt like it was a really dangerous path for me because I went into a really deep depression at a certain point throughout my stay-at-home mom time. And so I feel like some things led me there. I think one, it was a bit of an identity crisis. I was so used to being a working mom that when I came home, I felt like I still needed to keep that up. I was the type of mom like, no, you think I'm going to sit at home and just clean, cook, and take care of my child? I need something else to stimulate my mind. So I actually decided to do something, and I started a food blog at the time. So I was split between food blogging, transitioning to this new role that I had no clue about. And that led me down the path. Now, when I look back, I'm like, oh, that's why your house was a hot mess. You were doing way too much. So that is essentially how I came to Routine and Things, because at a certain point, like I said, I was in a deep depression. I needed to come out of that. I'm a huge God girl. So I prayed to God, and I feel like God said, lean into who you are. And like I said, I'm the type that I usually have my stuff together. So I said, how about routines? Let's try that. Let's try routines because I'm naturally routine oriented in general. So that's what I did one by one, a bunch of trial and error, did not get it right many of the times, but I slowly but surely started to understand what actually made my routines work and actually be able to continue to be maintained. And so I knew at a certain point I needed to share this with women, because I got to a certain point in my life where I was in my kitchen, washing dishes, looking out into our backyard. And I was like, oh, shoot, life feels good right now. And I was like, how did you get here, Ashley? And I knew God, of course, but then I was like, routines. I need to share this with moms and with women because they absolutely changed my life. So that's how I've come to this business, Routine and Things.
I love that. When I started being a stay-at-home mom, I'd come from this crazy work life where I got up at 2 a.m. I did my full 8-hour shift, and then I got off the shift, and then I was at home with the kids. But the ball the momentum of the day had already begun so early that the rest of the day was great. Like my house was fairly clean ish. If there's old nannies listening, they're going to be like, that's a total lie. But it was cleanish. And my kids, we had activities, we had a lot of fun. But then when I became a stay-at-home mom or a working at home mom, it was like I didn't have that momentum in the beginning of the day to like get me going. Like it's harder to start something that's not in motion than to stop something that is. So what do you think, how is adding a routine, how would that help, someone like me who I feel it's a little bit better now, but had a hard time getting started in the day?
Yes. So a routine can really help because it's basically a flow of actions that you are doing. You already know what you're doing in your day. So when you already have a clue, a predictable pattern that you know you're going to be doing in your day, it helps you to start easily because you know what you're going to be doing versus you wake up and you're like, oh, you have to think for a little bit. What's the plan for today? Or how am I actually going to start my day? Versus you knowing what that plan is, what those steps and actions are that are going to start your day. It helps you to flow a bit easier into your day, and that will give you momentum. I love a good morning routine. I always say that I think a bedtime routine is thebomb.com. But I also love a good morning routine as well, because it can propel you in your day, especially if it's set up in a way that is in alignment with who you are, that really serves you and in a way that you want to feel in the morning. I always say, make sure your routines are for you, that you're not built upon someone else's life. And then also that you know the outcome that you want to have in your specific routine. So how do you want to feel? What do you want to make happen in that routine? And then align your actions and steps with that. So yeah, that's the first thing. That's how I really feel like you can use routines to really propel you in your day.
I feel like sometimes without them, you can almost let the day just happen to you. And you mentioned the night routines. I feel like the night can just kind of like roll into bedtime and you're just like with no real structure.
Yes, no, it can. I love a night routine because personally, I feel like as a mom, specifically with little children, I have more control over my night than my morning, because sometimes things can go real crazy in the morning that I did not expect, especially with my children. They wake up at wee hours. I'm like, why y'all not sleep? What is going on here? And so they wake up super early. I'm not the type to get up super early before my kids. That is not my flow. I'm like a 9 a.m. type morning person. So I don't get up earlier than my kids. So that's why I love a good night routine, because if I can end my night in a way that is calming, relaxing, that means I'm going to get better rest, better sleep, and then I'm going to feel better in my morning. I still have a mini morning routine, but it's not really extensive, and it's something I can do with my girls. So, yeah.
I love that because I think so many people say you need to have the morning routine. You need to wake up earlier than your kids, and it defeats people before they can even get started. So this is the permission to make your routines work for your life.
Yes, that is key. If your routines don't work for your life, they're not going to work for you. Just period. You have to lean into the season that you're in. Yes, would we like to wake up earlier than our kids? Of course, but that's not always possible. And it's okay. We have to give ourselves permission for things to be okay, especially as women, because I know many times we will beat ourselves up about the smallest things when really it doesn't matter. What is important to you as a woman? What is important to you as a mom, as a person? What is that for you? And then make sure your routines feed into that.
I want to go back to when you're early on in your stay at home mom journey, and you have you're doing the depression. You're like, I need to lean into who I am. And you say routines. What was the first routine you added?
SelfCare. It was actually a morning routine, which was really vital for me. But I deem a morning routine as self-care personally. So I knew that I needed something for me specifically. I was like, I need something that feeds my soul when I wake up. And that was a really simple routine. I did a lot of mental work at that time, which was gratitude practice. So I would say 3 things I was grateful for when I woke up. Like I said, I'm a huge God girl, so I would pray as well. And then I would journal in the morning. I no longer journal in the morning. I do it at night. But at that point in time, yes, those were the 3 things that I did. It started my day off in a really beautiful way. And Yeah, I just feel like when you are starting a routine, and especially if you're starting a routine from a place of like stress, a place of chaos, overwhelm, if you can focus on yourself, then you will start to see, by focusing on you, you will then start to move that into things in your home, other parts of your life. And so I say always start with you, because you have to give to yourself in order to give to everybody else and to your home. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Once you were able to get a hold of that mental piece, tell me about the clarity you had for the rest of your day or for other routines you wanted to add.
Yes. So once I had that self care, I then gained so much clarity, because
Mm.
because a part of my self care as well was really like learning who I was and what I valued in life. And so when you can get to a point of understanding what it is that you want in your life, then this just allows you to then align the actions that you're doing in your day with what truly is important for you. So when I am, in my routine and I was doing my routine, what ended up happening is I wanted to make sure that my values were coming out in my routine. I wanted to be sure that I had the clarity to know, okay, so I've done this morning routine. The gratitude that I am expressing in this routine, these are the things that I value. Now I have more time to focus on, have the clarity to focus on, okay, if I value this thing, like if I value my children, how can I then structure their day so that I bring that value forward? Like, I don't want my children sitting in front of the TV all day. Now, TV is important in our household, but I don't want them sitting in front of the TV all day. So how then can I create a routine that aligns with that value of mine, and just being able to have that shine through? And so little by little, just having clarity on what was important to me, that really helped me to understand what do I need to clean in my home. That's really important, because I'm not one to have like a super like squeaky clean home. As long as things have a place, I'm good. Like, we're gonna sweep a little bit, we're gonna vacuum, but I don't need it to have like bleach everywhere or just things to be super sanitized. I just need everything in its place. That's what I want for my life, right? And so it just gave me that clarity, knowing how I wanted to cook, how I wanted to plan my days, because I think a planning routine is so important. So it just kind of just snowballed into these different things. And I didn't have all of these planned out. I just went one by one. I was like, what's next? Okay, cleaning. What's next? Cooking. Okay, let me try these things out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Before we kind of move into helping people figure out how to plan their own routines that are going to help them the most, I want to ask you, so what are the keys for a routine to get that house clean? Can you tell
What are
I'm
the
talking
keys?
from
Oh my
experience?
God.
My goodness, my house is a
Yes.
disaster.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, a lot of people have struggled with the cleaning aspect. That is a huge thing. You are not alone in that. When it comes to cleaning, I say you have to know what clean is to you. What is clean to you? You see all these pictures on Instagram of people's houses look immaculate, but just because their house looks like that, that might not be how you want to live. My house doesn't look like the houses on Instagram, but I love how my house is clean. I think that my house is a clean home. So what is clean to you? You have to really understand, what is that for you? Is it everything in its place? Is it actually having the floor swept, or toys picked up, or things just picked up off your floor? Is it having all the papers off of your countertops? What is clean to you? And when you know that, that can really help. Another thing is simplifying what you have. Oh my gosh. And I hate to say that, because we have things that are really close and near and dear to our heart. But I'm gonna be really honest, when you have so much to clean, you don't want to clean. So the less you have, the more likely you are to be able to keep up with your cleaning. That is, if I could, I'm not going to even share anything else. Those are the two things. And the simplify, I want you to really hear that. Simplify, you will start to see so much weight lifted. Yeah.
Mhm. And you just love the stuff you have more. I feel like we tell our kids a lot. When we were kids, we had the few toys that we loved. You have too many toys that quote unquote love that are not being taken care of. Whereas we like made sure they were working nice. We put them up in the nice spot because we knew this was like the only toy we were gonna have, for this year or whatever it was.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like, when you do simplify the things in your home, you're like, ooh. you actually use the stuff too. You enjoy it more, but you use the things in your home versus it being in a back corner somewhere. You never touch it. If you haven't touched those things in a back corner and they're not like something like super sentimental, do away with them. You're not going to use them. We think we are. We're like, oh, for that time, it's going to come a time. No, it never comes the time. Just get away. Just do away with it.
Oh man, I held on to some old like junior high makeup for years. I got rid of it years ago now, but like for at least a decade, I was holding on to like this blue eyeliner. What was I going to need that for?
We will hold on to the strangest things and be like, I don't even need this.
What is this for? All right. So for people who are listening, who are thinking, okay, I know that I need routine. I know that the day's happening to me. I'm feeling lost. Where should they start?
So first, you want to understand which routine you need a part of your life because you can only start one routine at a time. And I'm saying you can only start one routine at a time based off the fact that you will get extremely overwhelmed if you try to create and start multiple routines at once. So you need to understand and have some indication as to which routine is really important for your life right now. And I always start this off by really identifying or just sharing 5 routine categories that I think are super important for you to consider in your life: cooking, cleaning, children, self-care, and planning. So you can think about those 5 categories and whatever like hits your spirit, like whatever is like your gut reaction that you hear and you're like, oh, I need that. I would say start with that. If you want to base your decision off of information, I have a really good routine assessment that you can take at routineandthings.com if you want to get that deep. But you can just go from your gut as well to see where you want to start in terms of that category. Once you know which category you want to go with, it's really important that you get more specific. So if you choose cleaning as the category you want to start with, please get more specific. What in cleaning? What routine do you want to start that deals with cleaning? Is that laundry routine? Is this a bathroom routine? Is this a kitchen routine, a tidy routine? What is it that you're going to be starting? When you get more specific, what it does is it allows you to create your routine in an easier way, and you are more likely to maintain it. So, yeah, so that's when you start understanding which routine you need.
What are some of the specifics that come if you were to choose children?
So children would be a morning routine for your kids, a bedtime routine. It could be a learning routine. It could be a homeschool routine. What else? It could be a nap routine. It can be whatever routine you can come up with. Like the thing about routines I absolutely love is that you can get super creative. If you have a routine you want to create for your kids and you've never heard of it, be my guest, create it.
Yeah, that's great. Is there one that you notice more people, especially within this last year, have been more interested in diving into?
Yes, definitely. So one is self-care. That's the category that is really big. So like morning routines, things like that. But then also cleaning is always a huge one. Cleaning is always a huge one. I haven't heard a lot of children, which is very interesting, but cleaning and self-care, those are always the 2 major ones that stand out. Every single time I ask my community or just talk to women, those are the 2 that are the hugest deal.
You know what's interesting about that is that if you read a parenting book or you go to a parenting blog or whatever, you learn about putting routines in place. I have a bath time routine. I've got a nap time routine. I've got a bedtime routine. I got all these routines for my kids, but I think there's not a lot of people saying, hey, adults, you can use some routine time too.
Yeah, that's so true. Right? I love that.
I mean, I think that's why what you're doing is so important. So for self-care, what are some of the routines that someone listening can start adding to their life for their own self-care?
Yes. So we talked about morning routine. Of course, that's like a major one that a lot of people like to do. Also, it can be an exercise routine. I also like to call that a movement routine. You can have a bedtime routine or an evening routine. Self-care also can be a meditation routine. It can be, I love a good rest routine because I'm a busybody, so I have to sit my butt down at times. So I love a rest routine. Also a skincare routine. I have a beautiful skincare routine. You can do a hair care routine. I mean, it's so many, whatever way that you're into yourself. It can be even doing something that's more like mindset. It can be gratitude practice, like having a gratitude routine. I mean, the sky's the limit. However you want to feed yourself, feed your soul and spirit, and give to you, that's the routine that is all about self-care.
You know what I love about this is that we deal with so much decision fatigue, but
Mhm.
once we have a routine in place, we don't have to make the choices. I have a really solid exercise routine that I just don't even think about. I just do it. That's what I do every day. So I don't have to think like, should I not? How does that alone make a difference in people's lives once they start adopting routines?
Oh my gosh, so much, so much. Like you said, that decision fatigue can be a major deal, and it can cause so much stress, frustration, annoyance, anxiety. So, routines in general are going to alleviate so much stress in your life because you know how certain areas of your life are going to go and in which ways you're going to be moving throughout your day. And so that alleviates stress. Also, you feel more freedom when you have routines in place. Like I have a good solid maybe like 7 8 routines, and these are not all done daily at all. I don't do any routine daily personally in my life. I do my routines, if I do them daily, like 3 or 4 times a week, and then I have my weekly routines, and some are bi-weekly routines, but I have a good solid 7 to 8 routines. So I'm one, not stressing over when am I going to get things done. I already know this routine is coming up. And outside of the time that I'm doing my routines, I feel freer. I feel like I can be more present because I know things are going to get done or they've already been done. So this freedom that I feel is absolutely amazing. And that is what I feel like is so beautiful about routines, because they do give you freedom in your life to, feel the way you want to feel, to actually not have something weighing in the back of your head, but that this is going to be done. And even if it doesn't get done, you're good because you can start again the next day. So I think that routines are beautiful in that way. They're going to decrease a lot of stress for you and just give you more freedom and choice in your life.
I love that because our minds are always running with the things we have to do, but you can wash your hands of some of that because you know the routine will take care of it when it's supposed to take care of it.
Exactly.
You talk online about being a steward of your time. Tell me what that means.
Yes. So being a good steward of your time. So that means utilizing your time in a way that is efficient, utilizing your time in a way that actually brings forward what you value. So we will sometimes use our time in ways that we see other people utilizing their time. When in our eyes, we could care less about using our time in that way. But just because we see someone else do it, we're like, oh, well, maybe I should be doing that. Maybe my kids should be doing that. And it's like, but do you actually want to do that? You're not going to be a good steward of your time if you're doing and mimicking what others are doing. How you use your time is so important. And in order for you to feel like you are making the best use of your time, being a good steward of your time, you have to, one, do things in really effective and efficient way, be proactive, but then also make sure that how you are using your time, that your values, that is of value to you, basically. Make sure that the actions you are doing are of value to you. Ways that you are spending your time, that they are of value to you. That is super important in being a good steward of your time. That is a major thing because I think a lot of us don't really take that into account, but it's huge because you'll start to see your time is being sucked up. And then when you go to do a time study, I would say do a time study, because when you go to do a time study and you see how you're utilizing your time, you will start to see, dang, I don't even want to do some of this stuff. And if you don't, then don't do it. You have choice in your life.
I'm just thinking how many people are thinking, yep, I know that I'm using my time on Instagram a lot more than I want to.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
How does somebody do a time study?
Oh, so a time study is, I think they have apps for it, which is really cool. But when I've done them, the times I've done them, I've just written on paper every hour. On the hour, I would sit down and I would make sure I have a piece of paper by me, or I would do it in my phone. And I would just type out, what did I do within that hour? And it would be every little thing that I did for the entire time that I'm awake until I go to bed. So from when I wake up to when I go to bed, every hour on the hour, I would stop and say, well, what did I do within that hour? I would type it out or write it out. And then by the end of my day, I have everything that I did. I go back after some time, because I'll usually do it for a period of time, like maybe for like a week, maybe like 3 days. And then you go back and you see, how did I actually utilize my time? And is this really the best use of my time? So yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. Um, how do you think having routines equals more happiness in your life?
Ooh. Because one, routines, when you create them for you, specifically for you and for your needs, they are going to keep you in alignment with what it is that you value. They are going to keep you in alignment with yourself. That is how I feel like routines create happiness for you, like ultimate happiness. I love routines.
Mm-hmm. I forgot to bring out the point that you were making. Your routines and the things you're doing don't need to look like somebody else's. That is so important because I can get stuck up in that. I've tried that and been like, oh, this is not getting my stuff done.
No, please, please. We can gain inspiration from people, of course, gain inspiration. But you have to ask yourself the question of, well, do I actually want to do this? Or am I feeling pressured to do something that I actually don't want to do? Like I said, I am not a huge fan of waking up in the morning earlier than my kids. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, I'm not. I know that I see other women do it great. Wake up at 4:30. That is your jam. That's not my jam. And I'm okay with that. So we have to give ourselves permission to be okay to live our lives, no matter what anybody else has to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think so. I read a whole book about waking up early. And so I tried it and my kids were beating me. I'm like waking up at 5 a.m. and they're all awake and I'm getting nothing done. And I had to release the expectation that that was the only way working from home was going to work because it didn't.
Yes. Release those expectations will kill us every time. Release the expectations.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. If you were to help guide someone with their first routine, they're like, I'm making it today. Is there a favorite routine? I mean, I know we just said don't do other people's routines, but is there a favorite routine that you've seen working for a lot of people?
I would say any type of self-care routine. I'm not going to give you a specific one. Any type of self-care routine. I know a lot of people like to start with their morning. So if you're feeling like you are starting your day off really rough, then that could be a good self-care routine to start with. But form a routine that is going to take care of you. That's why I would say start there and just make sure that your routine, keep it simple, keep it flexible. We want to make sure that we're not having super rigid routines that box us in. Also, make sure that it's realistic for your life and make it fun. That is important. Just because we're adults does not mean we can't have fun. Make it fun.
Mm-hmm. I love that. The last question I ask everyone who comes on the podcast is how to find more joy in the everyday, in the good, the bad, and the in-between. What would be your tip to doing that?
I would say my tip for doing that is to sometimes throughout your day, at any point throughout your day, stop and experience the world using your five senses. Experience the world. Just stop where you are. Say, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What can I touch? What else was that? Oh, what can I taste? Maybe you're eating something.
Yeah. And that's so good for anxiety and for depression and panic attacks. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And thanks for this work that you're doing. I love the whole line of things you have to get your routines in place. Of course, I'll link all that. You mentioned the assessment. I'll link that as well.
Yes. And if you want to follow me on Instagram at Routine and Things, be sure to follow along. I'm here to support you.
I hope you enjoyed hearing from Ashley. I love talking about routines today. You can find all of her information in show notes. And I want to thank you for being here on Happiness in Progress.